Shadows of Destiny. The wind howled across Theta 7's desolate landscape, a symphony of isolation that matched the harsh training grounds of the human resistance. Captain Mark Callaway stood motionless, his body a living statue against the crimson-hued sky, eyes scanning the horizon with a predator's intensity. Sergeant Blake Carter approached, his heavy boots creating muffled thuds against the rocky terrain. "Another training session, Captain?" he asked, knowing full well the answer. Callaway's lips formed a thin smile. "These recruits need to understand that survival isn't about heroics. It's about precision, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to staying alive." Below them, a group of young soldiers navigated a complex obstacle course. Sweat glistened on their faces, muscles straining against the unforgiving environment. Michaels, a particularly eager recruit, struggled to maintain his balance while crossing a narrow bridge suspended over a simulated combat zone. "Michaels." Callaway's voice cracked like a whip. "Your left side is exposed. In a real combat scenario, that's an invitation to death." The young soldier corrected his stance, tension visible in every movement. Callaway had earned his reputation not just as a legendary sniper, but as a ruthless instructor who transformed raw recruits into precision warriors. Unbeknownst to them, thousands of light-years away, a different conversation was unfolding in the heart of the Galactic Empire's Central Command. The war chamber was a testament to imperial might, a circular room beneath a holographic dome that shimmered with star charts and strategic projections. General Kale Voran stood at its center, his crimson eyes sweeping across the gathered council of dominance. "Callaway," he spat the name like a curse. "A single human who has become more than just a soldier. He's become a symbol." The holographic display flickered, showing multiple battle scenarios where Callaway's interventions had turned certain defeat into unexpected victory. His dossier revealed a career that defied imperial expectations, a sniper whose precision had decimated strategic imperial operations. One counselor, a thin-faced individual with cybernetic implants, leaned forward. "Is one man truly worth deploying our most elite assassination unit?" Voran's laugh was cold, devoid of humor. "Symbols are more dangerous than weapons." Callaway represents human resilience, their refusal to accept imperial dominance. "His death will be more than an elimination, it will be a message." The council murmured in agreement. The Death Whisperers would be summoned, a team of assassins so legendary that their mere name induced terror across multiple star systems. Kaylor, the leader of the Death Whisperers, stood in the shadows. His armor seemed to absorb light, making him more phantom than soldier. When Voran detailed the mission, Kaylor's response was a single, decisive nod. "Outpost 8 on Theta 7, Voran explained. Harsh terrain. Minimal support. Maximum threat potential." Back on Theta 7, Callaway was wrapping up the training session. The recruits looked exhausted but determined. Sergeant Carter approached with a data pad. "Incoming transmission from Central Command," he said, handing the device to Callaway. The message was encrypted, but Callaway's cybernetic implant quickly decoded it. His expression remained neutral, but something in his eyes hardened. "Prep the base for potential high-risk scenario," he told Carter. "And tell the recruits to double their defensive training protocols." Something was coming. And Captain Mark Callaway was going to be ready. Little did he know, the Death Whisperers were already en route, cutting through the vast emptiness of space with a singular purpose, his elimination. Shadows converging. The void between star systems was a canvas of infinite darkness, punctuated by the near-silent hum of the Death Whisperer's stealth vessel. Kaylor stood at the command deck, his massive frame casting an imposing silhouette against the holographic navigation displays. "Theta 7 approach in T-3 standard hours," announced a mechanical voice from the ship's AI system. Kaylor's comlink crackled to life. The holographic projection of General Voran materialized, a spectral figure of imperial authority. "Your mission parameters are absolute. No survivors. No traces. The assassin's response was a mere grunt of acknowledgement. The team of Death Whisperers was unlike any standard military unit. Each member was a specialized weapon, genetically enhanced and cybernetically augmented. Zara, the team's infiltration expert, ran final diagnostics on her adaptive camouflage suit. Ran, their close-quarters combat specialist, sharpened molecular-edge blades that could slice through military-grade armor like soft butter. Intel suggests Callaway is more than just a sniper, Zara mentioned, her voice clinical and detached. Multiple strategic interventions. Psychological profile indicates extreme tactical awareness. Ren chuckled, a sound more like a mechanical grinding than genuine humor. One man is one man. No matter how skilled. Kaylor remained silent. Experience had taught him that underestimating an opponent was the quickest path to failure. Thousands of light years away, at Outpost 8, Captain Callaway was conducting a different kind of preparation. The training facility on Theta 7 was a fortress carved into the planet's rocky terrain. Designed to be both a defensive stronghold and a training ground, it represented humanity's most advanced military research and development center. Incoming long-range scan anomaly, announced the base's AI system. Sergeant Carter's hand instinctively moved to his weapon. Define anomaly. The holographic display flickered, showing multiple quantum signature disruptions, telltale signs of a stealth vessel using advanced cloaking technology. Callaway's eyes narrowed. Prepare defensive protocols. Maximum alert status. The base transformed within moments. Automated defense turrets emerged from hidden compartments. Energy shields began to pulse with a soft blue luminescence. Recruits who moments ago were in standard training exercises now moved with military precision, taking defensive positions. Something's coming, Callaway muttered, more to himself than anyone else. His cybernetic implant began analyzing the quantum disruption patterns. Something wasn't adding up. The approach was too calculated, too precise to be a standard Imperial reconnaissance mission. Meanwhile, on the Imperial capital world, General Voran was receiving his own set of complications. The Council of Dominance was growing restless. The repeated failures against human resistance had begun to erode their confidence in Imperial supremacy. The Death Whisperers have never failed a mission, one counselor declared, more as a reassurance to himself than a statement of fact. Voran knew better. Failure was always a possibility. And in this cosmic game of strategic warfare, possibilities were more dangerous than certainties. Back on the Death Whisperer's vessel, Kaylor began final mission preparations. Advanced holographic displays showed multiple approach vectors to Outpost 8. Each scenario had been meticulously calculated, accounting for potential defensive configurations. Adaptive infiltration protocol activated, the ship's AI announced. Zara's adaptive camouflage suit began its transformation, molecules realigning to match the expected terrain of Theta 7. Ren checked his molecular blades, each one capable of penetrating the most advanced defensive armor. As they approached the planetary system, a sense of inevitable confrontation hung in the air. One side would emerge victorious. And the other would be erased from existence. The hunt was about to begin. And Captain Mark Callaway would be waiting. The convergence. The first wave of attack came not with a roar, but with an almost imperceptible whisper. Quantum disruption fields began to destabilize the outer perimeter of Outpost 8. Most standard detection systems would have missed the subtle intrusion, but Callaway's base was anything but standard. Advanced sensor arrays, developed through years of hard-fought intelligence, picked up the microscopic variations in the planetary energy field. Incoming quantum breach, the base AI announced, its voice calm despite the imminent threat. Defensive Protocol Omega initiating. Sergeant Carter looked to Callaway, who was already in motion. They're not coming in through conventional means, he said, his fingers dancing across a holographic interface. Adaptive infiltration technique. Likely the Death Whisperers. The base transformed. Molecular phase barriers emerged from seemingly solid rock, creating a multi-layer defense grid that could shift and adapt faster than any known Imperial scanning technology. Recruits moved with a precision that belied their relatively short training period, a testament to Callaway's unforgiving instruction methods. On the Death Whisperer's vessel, Kaylor watched the initial defense systems with a clinical detachment. "Interesting," Zara muttered, her cybernetic eyes analyzing the defensive configurations. "Not a standard human resistance setup." Ren growled, a sound that was part frustration, part anticipation. "Callaway's reputation seems understated." Kaylor's response was a single, measured word. "Adapt." The first infiltration team materialized, or more accurately, phased, through the molecular barriers. Their adaptive camouflage made them appear like living shadows, shifting and blending with the rocky terrain of Theta 7. But Callaway had been preparing for this moment his entire career. "Target acquisition protocols," he commanded, and the base's defensive systems came alive in a symphony of technological precision. Automated drone sentinels emerged from hidden compartments, their targeting systems so advanced they could differentiate between a falling rock and a living infiltrator. Quantum-locked targeting beams began to track the Death Whisperer's movement, rendering their adaptive camouflage virtually useless. Zara was the first to realize the trap. "They're not just defending," she warned her team. "They're hurting us." Kaylor understood immediately. This wasn't a standard defensive position, it was a carefully constructed killing field. On the Imperial capital, General Voran watched the live tactical feed with growing tension. The Death Whisperers were his most elite unit, but Callaway had transformed a simple outpost into a near-impenetrable fortress. "Impossible," one of the council members whispered. Voran's crimson eyes narrowed. "Nothing is impossible. Only unexpected." Back on Theta 7, the first true engagement began. Ren launched himself toward a seemingly exposed section of the base's perimeter, molecular blades extended. But the moment he moved, the terrain itself seemed to come alive. Nano-constructed defense mechanisms erupted from the rocks, not weapons, but sophisticated energy disruptors that immediately began to neutralize the Death Whisperer's advanced technological enhancements. "They've studied Imperial tech," Kaylor realized. "Every system we have, they've found a counter." Callaway watched the engagement through multiple holographic displays, his cybernetic implant processing tactical information at speeds that would overwhelm a standard human mind. Each movement of the Death Whisperers was anticipated, each potential attack route already mapped and prepared for. This was more than a battle. This was a statement. Humanity would not be conquered. Not today. Not ever. As the first wave of infiltrators fell, another truth became clear: this was only the beginning. The real war was just starting. Counterstrikes and revelations. The aftermath of the initial assault left Theta 7's landscape scarred and smoking. Callaway stood in the command center, holographic displays flickering with tactical analysis of the Death Whisperer's failed infiltration. "They're not done," Sergeant Carter observed, studying the incoming data streams. "This was a probe. A test." Callaway nodded, his cybernetic implant continuously processing the battle's minutiae. The Imperial assassins had revealed more than they'd intended: their adaptive camouflage technologies, their molecular phase infiltration techniques, the precise composition of their elite team. On the Imperial capital, General Voran was experiencing a rare emotion: frustration. The Council of Dominance gathered in hushed, tense conversations. The Death Whisperers, an unit that had never failed a mission in 3 generations, had been systematically dismantled by a single human outpost. "We need to understand how," Voran declared, his voice cutting through the murmurs. "Kaylor's team was equipped with our most advanced technologies. Their failure is not just a tactical defeat, it's a systemic vulnerability." A holographic reconstruction of the battle played out, showing how each of the Death Whisperer's attacks had been anticipated, countered, and neutralized with surgical precision. Zara, the sole survivor of the initial assault, was being debriefed in a secure Imperial facility. Her cybernetic augmentations had allowed her a narrow escape, but the cost was high, multiple system failures, her adaptive camouflage suit rendered useless. Callaway anticipated every move, she reported, her voice devoid of emotion but laden with professional respect. It was as if he was reading our tactical algorithms in real time. Voran leaned forward. Explain. Our infiltration routes, our weapon signatures, even our quantum phase displacement, all were known to him before we arrived. Someone has been studying Imperial technologies at a level we've never encountered. The implications were terrifying. If humans had developed counter-technologies to Imperial advanced weaponry, the entire galactic power structure could be at risk. Back on Theta 7, Callaway was preparing for the next phase. They'll come again, he told the assembled training recruits. And next time, they won't make the same mistakes. The base had transformed. What was once a simple training outpost was now a technological marvel, a fortress that represented humanity's most advanced defensive capabilities. Molecular adaptive shields, quantum-locked defense systems, and a network of AI-driven tactical analysis that could predict Imperial attack vectors with uncanny precision. Michaels, the young recruit who had struggled during earlier training, approached Callaway. "Sir, how did you know?" Callaway's response was measured. "The Empire believes in technological superiority. They think advanced weaponry guarantees victory. We believe in adaptation. In understanding. In turning their strengths into vulnerabilities." A new transmission arrived, encrypted, but quickly decoded by the base's advanced systems. Imperial intelligence had begun mobilizing additional resources. This was no longer just a mission to eliminate a single human captain. This had become a matter of galactic security. Kaylor, recovering from the failed mission, received his new orders directly from General Voran. Elimination is no longer the primary objective, Voran's holographic projection stated. Capture. We need to understand how Callaway has developed these counter-technologies. The hunt was evolving. And the stakes had never been higher. Humanity's resistance was no longer just a rebellion. It was becoming a genuine threat to Imperial dominance. The next confrontation would determine far more than a single battle. It would potentially reshape the entire galactic power structure. Reckoning. The silence before the final battle was more deafening than any weapon could be. Theta 7's crimson skies seemed to pulse with an anticipation of the impending conflict. Callaway stood at the highest point of Outpost 8, his cybernetic implants scanning multiple quantum frequencies simultaneously. Sergeant Carter approached, carrying a data pad with the latest intelligence reports. "They're coming with everything they've got," Carter said, his voice a mixture of determination and concern. Callaway's response was a slight nod. "Not just assassins this time. A full Imperial strike force." The intelligence was clear. General Voran had committed resources beyond a standard punitive expedition. This was a message, a demonstration of Imperial might designed to crush not just Callaway, but the entire concept of human resistance. 3 massive Imperial battlecruisers emerged from quantum-fold space, their massive hulls blocking out entire sections of the planetary sky. Each vessel represented generations of technological advancement, weapons that could obliterate entire planetary systems with a single volley. But Callaway had been preparing. And preparation, in this case, meant something far more complex than simple defensive strategy. The first wave of Imperial drop ships began their descent, quantum phase shields flickering with destructive potential. Automated defense systems from Outpost 8 rose to meet them, not with traditional weapons, but with sophisticated quantum disruption fields that began to systematically deconstruct the Imperial technological advantages. Kaylor led the assault personally. The Death Whisperers, augmented and rebuilt, represented the pinnacle of Imperial military technology. Their goal was no longer simple assassination but complete elimination of Callaway and everything he represented. "Target is primary," Kaylor communicated to his team. Capture or elimination of Captain Mark Callaway. Secondary objective, complete destruction of Outpost 8. What the Imperial forces didn't realize was that Callaway had transformed the entire planet into a weapon. Theta 7 itself was not just a location, it was a meticulously designed trap. Geological systems that had been quietly modified began to activate. Quantum-locked energy conduits emerged from the planet's rocky surface, creating a defensive grid that could absorb and redirect Imperial weapon technologies. The very terrain became a living, adaptive defense mechanism. The battle that followed defied traditional military engagement. Imperial battlecruisers found their advanced weapon systems suddenly turned against them. Quantum disruption fields created by Callaway's team began to systematically deconstruct their technological advantages. Shield generators failed. Weapon systems became unreliable. Zara, the surviving infiltration expert from the previous mission, realized the truth first. This isn't defense, she warned Kaylor. This is a complete technological deconstruction of Imperial military doctrine. Callaway wasn't just fighting. He was demonstrating a fundamental flaw in Imperial military thinking, the belief that technological superiority guaranteed victory. On the Imperial capital, General Voran watched the battle unfold with growing horror. What was meant to be a demonstration of Imperial might was transforming into something entirely different, a comprehensive exposure of Imperial technological vulnerabilities. The final confrontation came down to a singular moment. Kaylor, aboard the primary battlecruiser, managed to launch a direct assault on Outpost 8's command center. His molecular phase infiltration cut through multiple defensive layers, bringing him face to face with Callaway. "You represent humanity's resistance," Kaylor stated, his weapon charged and ready. Callaway's response was calm. "No. I represent humanity's evolution." The battle was more than a physical confrontation. It was an ideological war, a demonstration that technological adaptation, strategic thinking, and an understanding of systemic vulnerabilities could overcome raw Imperial power. As Imperial systems began to fail and battlecruisers found themselves rendered inert, a new message was being sent across the galaxy. Humanity would not be conquered. They would evolve. They would adapt. And they would fight. The reckoning had begun.